Hello everyone, it's so good to be here today, sharing space and energy with you all. Because sometimes we need to be reminded of the truth. We already know deep down that life is too short, too precious, and too full of potential to live on autopilot every single day. You wake up, you have two choices. You can shrink yourself to fit into the expectations of others, or you can expand into the person you were always meant to be. The difference between the two is one simple yet powerful decision: owning your power. It's that moment when you finally stop waiting for someone to give you permission to live fully, to dream boldly, to take up space, to use your voice. There comes a time when every woman stands in front of the mirror and asks herself, am I going to keep playing small, or am I going to claim everything that's meant for me? And that choice changes everything. It changes how you walk, how you speak, how you see yourself, and how you allow others to treat you. Owning your power doesn't mean being perfect or never doubting yourself. It means choosing to believe in your worth even when it feels uncomfortable. It means reminding yourself that you are enough. Even when the world tries to convince you otherwise, you don't have to earn your worth by working harder, pleasing people, or constantly proving yourself. Your worth is built in. It's part of your being. You were born with it, and the moment you stop apologizing for it is the moment you begin to truly live. So many women have been taught to apologize for existing, to say sorry for being too loud, too bold, too emotional, too ambitious. We've been conditioned to shrink, to dim our light, to soften our edges, so others won't feel intimidated. But the truth is, every time you shrink, you disconnect from your own greatness. Every time you apologize for who you are, you hand your power to someone else. Imagine how different your life could be if you stopped asking for permission to be yourself. If you allowed yourself to show up fully, even if it made others uncomfortable. Your voice has power, and it's meant to be heard, not hidden. When you speak your truth, when you stand up for yourself, when you use your words to bring light to a situation, you not only honor your voice, you give permission for others to do the same. And that is powerful. So many of us have swallowed our words to keep the peace or to avoid being labeled difficult. But what if your truth is the very thing that brings peace within you? What if the moment you start speaking your truth is the moment you set yourself free? You can't own your power if you're afraid of your own voice. Every no you say with clarity, every yes you say with conviction strengthens that power. Owning your power also means taking full responsibility for your life. Not just the pretty parts, not just the victories, but the messy moments too. It's easy to feel powerful when everything's going right, but real power is in how you respond when things go wrong, when people disappoint you, when plans fall apart, when you're tested beyond your limits. Power is not in controlling every circumstance. It's in controlling your energy, your response, your attitude. Life will always throw curveballs. There will always be challenges, but you always have the power to choose how you respond. You can choose to grow from it, to learn from it, to rise higher than before. That choice is where your strength lives. You may not be able to control who walks out of your life or what opportunities slip away, but you can control whether you let those things define you or refine you. Every setback, every heartbreak, every closed door can either shrink you or shape you. Owning your power means refusing to see yourself as a victim. It means saying, yes, this happened, but I am still in charge of what happens next. You are the author of your story, not the world, not the people who hurt you, not the mistakes you've made. You get to decide the tone of your next chapter, and that begins with how you see yourself when you walk into a room. I want you to walk in like you belong there, not with arrogance, but with quiet confidence. Confidence that doesn't need to prove itself because it knows its value. Too often we enter spaces questioning ourselves, wondering if we're good enough, if we deserve to be there, if others will notice our flaws. But here's the truth. You belong in any room you walk into. You belong in spaces that challenge you, and opportunities that stretch you, and conversations that expand you. And if someone tells you otherwise, it's because they haven't learned to own their own power yet. If a door doesn't open for you, don't waste your time begging for it to open. Build your own door. Create your own table. Start your own thing. You were not made to wait for someone else's approval to fulfill your purpose. The world doesn't get to decide your worth. You do. And when you finally embrace that truth, everything around you begins to shift. People who once intimidated you will know you. Owning your power is about knowing that the source of your strength is internal. It's not found in validation or success or relationships. It's found in your alignment with who you truly are. It's the energy that comes from standing tall in your truth, no matter how uncomfortable it feels. It's the calm that comes from trusting yourself, even when the path isn't clear. It's the grace that comes from knowing you are already enough. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to remember it. Think of all the times you've doubted yourself and still made it through. Think of the storms you've survived, the moments you thought you couldn't handle but did anyway. That's your power. You didn't lose it. You just forgot it for a while. It's been there all along. Every strong, confident woman you've ever admired didn't find her power somewhere outside herself. She owned it. She claimed it. She refused to give it away to doubt, to fear, or to the forward. Start catching yourself every time you play small, every time you say I can't or I'm not ready. Replace it with I am capable, I am prepared, I am powerful. The words you speak to yourself are spells, and the more you repeat them, the more they shape your reality. Power begins in your thoughts and how you see yourself, in the story you tell about who you are when you wake up in the morning. Remind yourself that you are allowed to take up space, that your ideas matter, that your dreams are valid, even if no one else believes in them. Owning your power means walking in faith, even when you don't have proof. It means showing up fully, even when you're scared. It means saying yes to yourself before anyone else does. And the more you practice that, the stronger it becomes. Power is like a muscle. The more you use it, the more natural it feels. At first, it might feel uncomfortable to speak up, to set boundaries, to put yourself first. But that's just your old self getting used to the new stuff. Because once you start owning your power, you'll realize there's no going back. You can't unknow your worth. You can't unsee your potential. You can't return to the version of you that doubted her magic. Owning your power transforms everything. How you love, how you lead, how you live. It changes what you tolerate and what you attract. It draws opportunities that align with your truth and repels situations that drain your itself, because it's grounded in authenticity. It's the kind of power that says, I know who I am, I know what I bring, and I know I don't have to chase what's already meant for me. Because when you own your power, you stop running after validation and start magnetizing what belongs to you. You become the kind of woman who walks with certainty, not because life is perfect, but because she knows she can handle whatever comes her way. You start making decisions from a place of confidence instead of fear. Begin trusting yourself more than anyone else, because deep down you know that your intuition, your voice, your vision were given to you for a reason. Owning your power means becoming the leader of your own life. It's about stepping into your space fully unapologetically, without waiting for the right moment or the right person to tell you you're ready. You're already ready. You've always been ready. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner everything around you begins to align with the woman you were always meant to be. When was the last time you felt truly at peace, not just calm for a moment, but deeply centered, as if nothing outside of you could shake your inner world? Too often, we confuse quiet with peace. We think silence means stillness, but peace isn't about what's happening around you. It's about what's happening within you. Real peace is a state of being. It's that deep sense of balance that stays even when everything around you feels uncertain. And the truth is, peace doesn't just show up one day because life got easier or people started treating you better. Peace is something you must choose, protect, and fight for every single day, because if you don't prioritize your peace, no one else will. We live in a world that thrives on chaos, on constant comparison, on urgency and pressure. We are told that if we're not hustling, we're falling behind. If we're not giving constantly, we're being selfish. But here's the truth. Peace is not laziness. Peace is not avoidance. Peace is power. It's the clarity that allows you to make decisions from wisdom, not fear. It's the strength that keeps you grounded when life feels like it's spinning. Peace is the foundation of everything you do, because without it, even success feels empty. Without peace, your accomplishments mean little, because you're too exhausted to enjoy them. Prioritizing peace begins with boundaries, and boundaries are not walls meant to keep people out. They are bridges that protect your energy. They are acts of self-respect. They say, I value myself enough to decide what I allow into my life and what I don't. Yet, how many times have we allowed others to cross our boundaries just to avoid disappointing them? How many times have we said yes when our entire being was screaming no? Boundaries are not selfish. They are sacred. They preserve your energy, your focus, your sanity, and your spirit. You don't owe anyone an explanation for setting them, and the people who truly value you will never ask you to lower them. Protecting your peace also means letting go of what doesn't serve you. That might be a relationship that drains your spirit, a habit that keeps you stuck, a thought pattern that keeps you small. Sometimes peace requires walking away from things that once felt familiar but no longer feel aligned. And yes, letting go is hard because it requires trust. It means believing that what's ahead will nourish you more than what you're leaving behind. But the weight that lifts once you release what doesn't serve you is worth more than comfort found in staying stuck. There's a kind of freedom that comes when you stop carrying everyone else's expectations and start listening to your own voice. Ask yourself, does this situation bring me peace? Does this habit bring me joy? Does this thought make me feel empowered? If the answer is no, then it's time to release it. Peace isn't passive, it's intentional. It's something you create, moment by moment, choice by choice. It's in the pause before you respond to that email that triggers you. It's in the deep breath before you react to someone's negativity. It's in saying no to an invitation, will drain your energy, and yes to the quiet moments that restore you. Peace doesn't always look like meditation or silence. Sometimes peace looks like laughter with friends, a walk in the sun, a good night's sleep. Sometimes peace looks like doing less, not because you're lazy, but because you're choosing alignment over exhaustion. It's recognizing that not every battle deserves your energy, not every opinion deserves your attention, and not every storm requires your presence. Peace requires discernment. It's knowing when to engage and when to retreat, when to speak and when to stay silent. It's trusting that not everything needs a reaction, that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stay centered in your calm. Peace is also about forgiveness, not for others but for yourself. Forgiving yourself for what you didn't know. Forgiving yourself for staying too long, for holding on too tightly. Peace begins when you stop waging war with your past and start making peace with the woman you are right now. We often think peace will come when the world around us changes, but true peace starts when we stop fighting ourselves. It's when you stop criticizing your reflection, stop replaying every mistake, stop carrying guilt like it's a part of your identity. Peace is giving yourself permission to rest without guilt, to pause without apology, to exist without proving. When you prioritize peace, you shift the entire rhythm of your life. The things that used to feel urgent lose their grip. You stop chasing approval and start honoring your own energy. You start realizing that not everything requires your effort. Some things require your absence, and that's okay. Peace is not found in control. It's found in surrender, in trusting that you don't need to have every answer for things to work out. Peace asks you to release the illusion that you're worth it. It invites you to be still long enough to remember that your value is inherent, not earned. Silence isn't empty. It's full. It's full of answers, guidance, healing. When you take time to sit quietly, to breathe, to reflect, you reconnect with yourself, and in that stillness, you find clarity. You start hearing your intuition again, that gentle voice that gets drowned out by noise. The world will always demand more from you, more time, more energy, more attention, but your peace will demand something different. Will whisper, slow down, breathe, realign, remember who you are. Peace is rebellion in a world that glorifies burnout. It's choosing to rest when everyone else is rushing. It's choosing simplicity over chaos. It's choosing presence over distraction. It's choosing yourself when everyone else demands pieces of you. And that choice isn't always easy, because it often disappoints people who benefited from your lack of boundaries, people who were used to you putting their needs before yours. But peace will always cost something, and it's always worth the price, because peace gives you back yourself. It returns you to your center, to your power, to your truth. Once you start protecting your peace, you realize how much energy you wasted trying to fix what was never yours to fix, trying to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you, trying to please everyone but yourself. Peace brings perspective. It reminds you that not everything is your responsibility, and not every conflict needs resolution. Sometimes walking away is the most loving thing you can do for yourself. Peace is a practice, not a destination. It's not something you achieve once and keep forever. It's something you choose over and over, especially when life gets hard. It's choosing not to argue when you could. It's choosing to breathe when anger rises. It's choosing compassion for yourself when things don't go as planned. The more you practice choosing peace, the easier it becomes, and soon you start noticing how different your world feels. You start sleeping better, breathing easier, speaking softer, not because you're weaker, but because you're no longer ruled by chaos. When you live from a place of peace, you begin to attract peace, people who respect your energy, environments that support your growth, situations that align with your values, and even when life tests you, you no longer react with panic, you respond with purpose, because peace makes you unshakable. It's your armor, your foundation, your power, and when you sit, everything else starts to fall into place. You make better decisions, you create healthier connections, you walk lighter because you're no longer carrying what was never yours. Peace is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you can return to yourself, that you can find stillness, even in the storm, because peace isn't about escaping the noise. It's about becoming so grounded that the noise no longer controls you. Peace is strength, it's grace, it's your greatest form of power. There comes a point in every person's journey when they must confront the truth about themselves, not the version they show to the world, but the one that lives in silence beneath the noise of their daily life. That quiet space where your true desires, fears, and pain reside. It's there that transformation begins, because you can't change what you refuse to see, and you can't grow while clinging to illusions about who you think you should be. Real growth begins when you stop running from yourself, when you stop distracting yourself with busyness, validation, and constant movement, and instead face your own reflection with honesty. The hardest work you will ever do is inner work, because it asks you to dismantle everything you've built for the sake of belonging. It asks you to unlearn everything that kept you safe but small. And it demands that you let go of identities you once believed defined you. Self-awareness isn't comfortable, it's not pretty, it's raw, it's messy. It's realizing how often you've betrayed your own intuition just to please others. How many times you've silenced your truth to avoid conflict. How often you've mistaken control for safety, when in reality it was fear running the show. Awareness is the first step toward freedom, because the moment you see something clearly, you can no longer pretend not to see it. Once you recognize the patterns that keep you trapped, you start reclaiming your power. You begin to understand that healing is not about fixing what's broken. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you to be someone else. And this process isn't linear. Healing rarely is. Some days you'll feel unstoppable, and others you'll feel like you're falling apart, but both are necessary. The falling apart makes room for the becoming. The breaking is what opens you to your own depth. We are taught to avoid pain, to numb it, to rush past it, but pain is not your enemy, it's your teacher. It reveals where you've abandoned yourself. It shows you what's still attention, your compassion, your love. Instead of running from your pain, try listening to it, sit with it, ask it what it's trying to show you, because buried inside your pain is your power. Every emotion you suppress doesn't disappear. It settles in your body. It becomes tension, fatigue, anxiety. That's why healing requires presence. It's not just about understanding your past intellectually. It's about feeling what you once refused to feel, to allow the grief, the anger, the sadness to move through you instead of living in you. Healing is the art of coming home to yourself. It's learning to sit in your own company without needing to escape it. It's finding comfort in your solitude and safety in your silence. Because when you learn to be alone without feeling lonely, you become whole again. You stop looking for others to fill your emptiness. You stop begging for love that costs you your peace. And you begin to realize that everything you've been searching for has always been within you. Healing also requires forgiveness. Not the kind that excuses others, but the kind that frees you. It's forgiving yourself for the years you spent in survival mode, for the times you ignored your own needs, for the moments you stayed quiet when you should have spoken. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means releasing the grip the past has on you. It means choosing peace over resentment. Letting go doesn't erase the story, but it changes the way it lives inside you, and that's how you heal. You start noticing the subtle shifts. You no longer chase people who make you question your worth. You no longer entertain conversations that drain your spirit. You stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you, and suddenly life starts to feel lighter, not because the world changed, but because you did. Self-healing is a reclamation of power. It's realizing that the things that once broke you no longer control you. It's on anyone's approval that your softness is not weakness, that your sensitivity is your strength. Healing teaches you boundaries, not as a punishment, but as protection. It teaches you that it's okay to choose distance when peace is at risk, that saying no is an act of love, that walking away from chaos doesn't mean you're cold. It means you've learned what you deserve. Healing is also a process of embodiment. It's not enough to think differently. You must live differently. It's in the small choices you make daily, the food you eat, the people you spend time with, the words you speak to yourself. Healing is not a destination. It's a lifestyle. It's the way you move through the world, with awareness, with intention, with grace. Every healed part of you becomes a guide for others, not through preaching, but through presence. Your energy begins to speak louder than your words, because people feel. It's about bringing light to the dark parts within you and saying, I see you, I accept you, I love you anyway. It's learning that your wounds don't define you, they refine you, they soften you, they make you more human, more compassionate, more understanding. Healing doesn't mean you'll never feel pain again. It means you'll no longer be controlled by it. It means when the triggers come, you meet them with awareness instead of reaction. It means when life tests you, you respond with calm instead of chaos. It means you trust yourself to navigate the storm because you've already survived. Worse, healing also teaches you patience. It's realizing that some lessons must be lived, not rushed. It's learning to surrender to divine timing, to trust that what is meant for you won't require you to betray yourself. Healing humbles you. It reminds you that you can't force transformation. You can only create the conditions for it by being present, by being kind to yourself, by choosing honesty over denial. There will be days when you'll fall back into old patterns, when your mind will replay old fears, when you'll question whether you've made progress, and that's okay. Healing isn't linear, it's cyclical, but every time you choose awareness instead of avoidance, you're breaking a cycle. Every time you pause before reacting, you're rewriting a story. Every time you speak your truth, even when your voice shakes, you're coming home to yourself. Healing changes your relationship with life itself. You stop needing control because you trust the process. You stop fearing endings because you understand they create space for beginnings. You stop seeing pain as punishment and start seeing it as initiation. Everything you experience becomes a teacher, and the more you trust that truth, the more peace you feel. Healing is an act of rebellion. In a world that profits from your wounds, it's choosing to love yourself. In a society that benefits from your self-doubt, it's choosing rest in a culture that glorifies exhaustion. It's choosing authenticity over performance. And the more you heal, the more you realize how little you need to feel whole, because wholeness was never something to find. It was something to remember. The moment you stop chasing healing as a goal and start living it as a way of being, you begin to embody peace, not the kind that's fragile or conditional, but the kind that radiates from the core of your being, that quiet confidence that no matter what happens, you can. The essence of true healing, the silent revolution that transforms pain into wisdom and brokenness into beauty, be. There comes a time when you realize that not everyone is meant to walk with you to your next chapter, that some connections were only meant to teach you something, not travel with you forever. Letting go is one of the hardest but most necessary acts of growth because we humans have a deep attachment to familiarity. We hold on to people, situations, and versions of ourselves simply because they are known, even when they no longer bring us peace. But the truth is, you cannot step into the new while still clinging to the old, and no amount of holding on can save something that is meant to end. The art of letting go is not about bitterness, it's about acceptance. It's about realizing that peace sometimes requires separation, that love doesn't always mean staying, that closure doesn't always come from words. Sometimes closure is silence, sometimes it's simply the choice to stop fighting what's already gone. Letting go begins with honesty, the willingness to admit that something is no longer working, that the energy has shifted, that the version of you who once needed that connection no longer exists. It's about acknowledging the endings that your soul has outgrown, even when your heart is still attached. We often try to justify staying by saying things will change, or maybe they'll understand, or perhaps this is just a phase, but deep down we know when something has expired. Energy doesn't lie. Your body knows, your spirit knows. Letting go is not weakness, it's strength, because it requires courage to release what once felt safe. It requires trust to step into the unknown. It requires faith to believe that what's ahead will be better than what's behind. It's not an act of giving up, it's an act of choosing yourself again and again, even when it hurts, because what you lose when you hold on to the wrong thing is far greater than what you lose by walking away when you keep clinging to what's no longer aligned. You block the space for new blessings to enter. It's like trying to breathe in while still holding your breath from the last moment. You can't receive until you release. Letting go is also an act of forgiveness, not necessarily toward others, but toward yourself. It's forgiving yourself for ignoring the red flags, for staying too long, for hoping too hard, for believing the potential more than the reality. It's forgiving yourself for loving people who could not meet you where you were, because you loved from authenticity, from sincerity, and that in itself is not a mistake. Sometimes the hardest part of letting go isn't losing the person, it's losing the version of yourself that existed with them, the memories, the dreams, the future you imagined together. And that's why grief follows letting go, because you're not just releasing someone else, you're releasing a part of yourself. But that grief is sacred. It's proof that you cared deeply. It's the evidence of your humanity. And in time, it becomes the soil for your rebirth. You begin to rebuild, not from pain, but from awareness, from clarity, from strength that you didn't know you had. Letting go also means understanding that not everyone will understand your journey, and that's okay. You don't need validation to heal. You don't need approval to evolve. The path of self-growth often requires solitude, and solitude is not loneliness. It's space for alignment. It's the quiet where your intuition speaks the loudest. It's where you rediscover who you are without the noise of other people's expectations. Letting go is an act of trust, trusting that what is meant for you will never require you to shrink, trusting that the universe will always replace what you release with something more aligned, trusting that endings are not punishments but protection, redirection. Sometimes the people you lose are the very reason you find yourself again. Every goodbye holds the seed of a new beginning. Even if it doesn't feel that way at first, you see, healing after letting go doesn't happen overnight. It's gradual. It's the little moments when you no longer check their profile, when their name no longer stings, when you stop replaying what could have been and start embracing what is. It's waking up one day realizing your peace matters more than their presence. It's smiling again, not because the pain vanished, but because you chose to grow from it. Letting go also teaches you boundaries. It shows you the cost of overextending, the pain of chasing what resists you, the exhaustion of pouring into people who never pour back. And through that awareness, you start valuing your energy differently. You stop chasing closure. You stop explaining yourself. You stop negotiating your worth. You begin to protect your energy as if it were sacred, because it is. When you learn to let go, you stop living in resistance and start living in flow. You realize that life moves in seasons, that every connection has its time and purpose. Some people come to teach love, others come to teach loss. Some come to remind you of your strength, and others to awaken your self-respect. When you accept this truth, you stop holding grudges. You stop labeling everything as failure and start seeing it as part of your unfolding. Everything serves your evolution, even the painful parts. Letting go is also about releasing the need to control outcomes. It's surrendering the constant questioning of what if and why. It's allowing things to be as they are without forcing them into what you
wish they were. Control is often fear disguised as certainty. We try to control because we're afraid to trust. But peace lives in surrender. The moment you release control, you make space for divine order to unfold. Letting go requires presence because you can't release what you're still replaying in your mind again and again. It's not about forgetting, it's about choosing not to relive it every day. It's about grounding. I'm defined by what I choose to do now. And in that moment of release, you reclaim your power. Every time you let go of something that drains you, you call your energy back to yourself. You begin to feel lighter, freer, more aligned, because you're no longer carrying what doesn't belong to you. It's a process of untangling your worth from your wounds, your peace from your past, your identity from your pain. And with every layer you shed, you get closer to your true self. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care differently. You care from a distance with compassion, not attachment. You wish them well without wishing them back. You hold gratitude for the lesson without needing to repeat it again, because peace is not found in holding on, it's found in release, in allowing life to move through you without clinging to what was, in trusting that what is meant to stay will stay with ease, not force, in understanding that endings are not the opposite of who you were and who you're becoming. And once you learn to let go gracefully, you'll find a deeper sense of freedom than you ever imagined. The kind that doesn't depend on anyone's presence or absence, the kind that comes from knowing that no matter what leaves your life, you will always remain whole. Letting go is not the end of love, it's its evolution. It's transforming attachment into appreciation, pain into wisdom, endings into beginnings. It's how the soul grows, how the spirit expands, how you rise again, softer, wiser, clearer, and ready for what's next. There is a sacred power in patience, a quiet strength that few understand. In a world that glorifies speed and instant results, patience feels outdated, almost like weakness, but those who have truly lived know that patience is not about waiting, it's about trusting, it's about holding faith in the unseen. When everything inside you wants to rush, it's the discipline to stay calm. When nothing seems to be moving, it's the inner knowing that timing is divine, and what's meant for you cannot be missed. We live in an age where everything is designed to feed our impatience. We want love to appear instantly, success to happen overnight, healing to be quick and effortless, but real growth, real transformation takes time. The tree does not rush its blooming, the river does not hurry its flow, the sun rises and sets at its own pace, and still everything unfolds perfectly in its time. Patience teaches you to surrender, not in defeat, but in faith. It whispers that things are happening, even when you can't see them. It reminds you that silence doesn't mean absence, and delays don't mean denial. Patience is the bridge between your desire and its manifestation. It's the space where you are shaped for what you've asked for, because sometimes the universe withholds what you want, not as punishment but as preparation. It's making sure you're ready for what you prayed for, that your character can carry the weight of your blessings. Patience refines you, it softens your it strengthens your spirit. It teaches you to trust life instead of controlling it. When you cultivate patience, you stop measuring your worth by how fast things happen. You begin to understand that every pause has purpose, every delay holds wisdom. Sometimes the waiting itself is the miracle, the place where you grow into the person capable of receiving what's coming. Patience is also a test of faith. It asks you to believe, even trusting that they will bloom in light. It's easy to believe when things are going your way, but patience builds the kind of faith that endures when nothing makes sense. It's choosing to believe that the universe is working in your favor, even when the outcome is hidden. Patience reveals your attachment to control. It shows how much you resist uncertainty, how often you cling to timelines and expectations, but control is just fear wearing a mask. Fear that things won't work out, fear that you'll miss your chance, fear that you're falling behind, but patience dissolves that fear because it anchors you in trust. It tells you that what is yours is already finding its way to you, that no force can stop what's divinely aligned. Patience brings peace to your mind and strength to your heart. It teaches you that rushing doesn't make things happen faster. It only creates anxiety and exhaustion. What's meant for you will come not by force but by flow. When you truly embody patience, you begin to find the in-between moments. You stop waiting for the next big thing and start noticing the small blessings that were always there, the quiet mornings, the unexpected laughter, the lessons hidden in detours. Patience shifts your focus from outcome to experience. It transforms the journey itself into something meaningful, and the more you embrace it, the less desperate you feel, because desperation comes from fear, but patience comes from power. It's the confidence of knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. Even if you don't yet understand why patience also deepens your relationship with yourself, it teaches you self-compassion, because waiting tests your emotions. It brings up frustration, doubt, sadness, but in those moments you learn to comfort yourself, to breathe through uncertainty, to trust your own timing. Instead of comparing it to others, you realize that your path is unique, that no two timelines are the same, that what blooms for someone else today may bloom for you tomorrow, and that doesn't make you behind, it makes you in process. We are all unfolding at the pace of our lessons, and sometimes what feels like stagnation is actually stillness, the kind of stillness that strengthens roots before the bloom. Patience allows those roots to grow deep, so that when your moment comes, you are unshakable, you are ready. Patience is the soil of wisdom. It teaches you discernment, to know when to act and when to wait, when to push and when to pause. Sometimes the greatest action is no action. It's allowing life to rearrange itself before you take your next step. Because rushing into something before its time often leads to unnecessary suffering. Patience protects you from premature choices. It keeps you aligned with divine timing. In love, patience teaches you to wait for depth, not just connection. It shows you that real relationships are not built in intensity, but in consistency, that love that lasts takes time to unfold, that the right person will never make you feel like you're running out of time, and in healing, patience is everything, because wounds don't close on command. The heart needs space to breathe, to grieve, to rebuild itself. We often want to fast forward through pain, but skipping the process means skipping the wisdom that comes from it. Patience in healing means sitting with discomfort without judgment, trusting that one day what hurts will make sense. Patience humbles you. It reminds you that you are not in control of everything, that there are forces beyond your understanding, orchestrating your life in ways you can't yet see. It teaches you surrender, not as a loss of power, but as alignment with something greater than you. It's an invitation to trust life's rhythm instead of resisting it. Patience also builds character. It teaches you emotional endurance. It shows you how to stay kind in delay, how to remain hopeful in silence, how to continue showing up, even when the results are invisible. Patience turns waiting into worship, because when you wait with trust, you're not wasting time. You're preparing. You're evolving. Every moment of patience is a silent prayer, saying, I believe, even when I don't see. When you start viewing waiting through that lens, you begin to feel peace in the process. You no longer see time as an enemy, but as a teacher. Time becomes the ally that reveals all things in due course. Everything beautiful takes time to build a masterpiece, a garden, a soul. Nothing worthwhile ever happens instantly. The butterfly does not regret its time in the cocoon. Seed does not curse the soil for being dark. Everything divine grows in hidden places first, and patience is what allows it to emerge fully formed. Patience is also freedom, because when you no longer rush, you stop living from scarcity, you no longer fear missing out. You understand that what's for you is for you, and that truth releases you from anxiety. It allows you to breathe, to rest, to live without pressure. Patience aligns you with peace. It reminds you that there is divine timing for your purpose, your relationships, your success, your healing. Nothing arrives too early, and nothing is ever truly late. It all unfolds in perfect rhythm. The more you trust that, the more effortless life feels. You stop forcing outcomes and start flowing with grace, because you finally understand that the universe works with precision, not delay, and that the energy of patience is the energy of faith. When you master it, you move through life with serenity, knowing that what you've planted will bloom when it's ready, not when you demand it to, and that is the quiet strength that changes everything.